Hey everybody, welcome to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on our YouTube channel. And today we're going to take a look at, yes, the very new release, the very new version and the new release of the Slate Digital VCC Virtual Console Collection version 2.0. So this just came out yesterday. Finally, they have finally come out with the VCC in a 64-bit AAX compatible plugin. So it's completely redesigned apparently from the ground up. It's got a totally new look. It's part of the virtual mix rack, which you can see in front of you. And this works in 64-bit mode and plays very nicely in 64-bit mode, unlike version 1.0. And so I wanted to take a quick look at this today and compare, say, 4 of the different consoles so you can hear the difference between them. Now, if you are already an owner of the VCC, the 1.0, this is a free upgrade. So if you have the VCC version 1.0, even if you really enjoy it and you like it and you're using it in, say, a 32-bit mode DAW and it hasn't given you any problems, I would recommend that you go out and you download this anyway. For the simple reason is you get it's going to have a lot less taxing on your CPU. It's a lot less CPU intensive, which is great. And also there is now a 6th console, the Brit 4KE, which is in addition to the Brit 4KG. So it's the E-Series SSL console emulation, which is pretty sweet, which we'll take a listen to. So if you've never seen the VCC before, this is a 2-part plugin, and I have both parts up here, and you have to have the virtual mix rack in order to buy this. So in the virtual mix rack, if you go out to slatedigital.com, you can read up all about it. But when you buy the virtual mix rack for, I think, for $149, maybe, right at the recording of this video, not only do you get the VCC as part of that, but you also get, I shouldn't say this. When you buy the virtual mix rack, you're going to get 2 compressors and 2 EQs along, which is, we'll just take a look at this quickly. So you're going to get the FG 1116, which is an emulation of the 1176 compressor, as part of that, the virtual mix rack. You're also going to get this compressor here, this FG 401. That's part of the virtual mix rack. You're going to get 2 EQs as well. You're going to get the FGN, which is an emulation of the 1073 Neve EQ. And then you're also going to get the FGS, which is an SSL style emulation EQ. And then also as part of that, you're also going to get the this really cool plugin, which is free. But you're also going to get Revival, which is kind of like a sonic maximizer. So when you buy the virtual mix rack, you're going to get 2 compressors, 2 EQs, and the sonic maximizer. Then when you buy the VCC, and again, they're always bundling these things together. And at the recording of this video, they may have a bundle already together where you buy the virtual mix rack and you get the VCC for free. I don't know. Go out to Slate Digital and check their website. I don't want to tell you exactly what they have to offer because it changes all the time. But once you have the virtual mix rack, you could then now get the VCC, and this is a 2-part plugin. So the very first part here, which is on our mix bus, or our stereo, our 2 bus, is the virtual mix bus part of the plugin, which has like kind of a silverish gray face to it. Okay, and we'll walk through some of the settings here. So you have an input dial here and an output, which can be linked or unlinked. So as you turn the input up or down, the output will turn up and down along with it in the opposite direction, or you can unlink it and you can turn them completely separate. You have this big dial in the center, which is the different consoles. So down here you have the Brit 4KE, which is the new SSL E-channel emulation. Above that you have the Brit 4KG, which is another the G-series SSL. You have the USA, which is an API console. You have the Brit N, which is a Neve. You have the Trident, which is this funny little symbol here, and then you have the RC tube. So you have 6 different consoles now that were emulated. We have a drive knob here to push more signal into it to kind of give some more harmonic distortion, and then you can group things if you wanted to group these together by using the group dial here. You have a noise reduction button where you can take the noise in and out of the circuitry, and then you have a group bypass. Okay, so that's the virtual mix bus, which goes on your 2 bus, okay, which is on my 2 bus here. It's the first insert in my 2 bus. The second part of this plugin, which is the virtual channel, which is right here. Again, the layout is exactly the same. You have an input and output, which is linked here with this button, and you can either link the in or out. You have the console selector here, a drive knob, a group knob, and then a noise reduction and a group bypass, okay? So the way you use this plugin is you go ahead and you put them across as the first insert in your insert bank, which I've done here. You can see it all in blue. And I have 4 different versions of this virtual mix rack, because each one of these insert slots has a different console, so we can switch back and forth and listen to the difference between the 4 different emulations. What I have here is just a basic instrumental part of a rock track. It's got a full drum kit, acoustic drums, bass, 2 acoustic guitars, and 2 pianos. There's no vocals here. I just threw up the faders, did a little bit of panning, got some quick balances. As you can see, other than the virtual mix rack and auto align, which is a drum phase correction tool, there are no EQ, no other compression, no nothing, no other processing on this, because I wanted to just give you the sound of the virtual console collection. I didn't want to have it already processed with EQ and compression, so you can kind of get a feel for what this plugin all by itself does to your signal. Okay, so again, console emulation is something where they emulate the old school desks to give that digital signal some analog vibe. And I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel that talk about console emulation and analog vibe. Go check those out. I won't waste your time here. Let's just get into some sound examples. So the very first console we're going to listen to, and we're going to listen to the Brit 4KE, which is the new SSL E channel emulation. So we have set that on our mix bus, and then we also have set that on each one of our individual channels here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to the difference here. So let's just loop this piece of music, and then what I'm going to be able to do is, by highlighting and grouping all these channels at the click of a button here, I can turn on and off, as you can see across the top in gray. The virtual mix rack goes gray, which means the plugin is bypassed. When it's in blue, it's enabled. When it's in gray, it's disabled. And you can see on the virtual mix bus, you can see the UV meter light turn on and off as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to this. And on the first one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up each one of the individual channels so you can see how hard I'm actually pushing the VCC. Okay, so let's just take a listen. Here's our kick drum. That's our kick-in mic. The kick-out mic. Snare. We're going to wait for some snare to come out here. So as you can see on all these channels here, I won't open up every one and waste your time, but I'm pushing it, getting pretty close to, right around the, -1, -2 to 0 dB, just not trying to push it too hard, just kind of cranking up the input to bring in the signal, to crank it up close to 0 dB, and it'll automatically turn down the output because I have everything linked. And on things like the snare drum and the overheads, I'm using the drive button to kind of drive the console a little harder to give it some nice harmonic distortion, not so much on acoustic guitars and pianos, so kind of keep that in mind. So we're going to listen to this, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bypass, like I said, all of them all at once. You can hear the difference. So we'll start with it on. Okay, we're still on. Off. Bypassed. Okay, so hopefully if you're listening to this on a good set of studio monitors and or headphones, hopefully you'll hear that when you enable the virtual console collection, it gives it a nice openness, a lot more bottom end, a lot thicker, warmer sounding, just gives a lot more clarity and definition to things like the acoustic guitar and the piano. So listen to those two instruments in particular. The snare kind of really pumps out forward too. Okay, so that is the Brit 4KE, the new console that was emulated as part of this 2.0 update. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bypass those and we're going to come over to the 4K G series. So now this is just comparing the G series, which was in the old version 1.0, to the E series, which is part of the 2.0. Okay, so let's listen to that and see what that sounds like. And again, I'll start with it on and then I'll bypass it. Bypassed. Bypassed. Okay, so the differences between the two different SSL emulations is this one is a little more subtle, the G series, as opposed to the E series, which seems to be a lot more apparent, a little bit more obvious. Again, totally different types of sounds, but both cool in their own right. Okay, so now let's shut this off and let's take a listen to, I think the Neve is the next one we're going to take a look at. So right, now we're on the Neve. Okay, and we'll go back and forth. Once we go through the other two consoles, we'll flip back and forth between them so you can hear the differences. But here's the Neve, and I'll give you a feel for what that sounds like. Bypassed. Bypassed. Okay, so hopefully you can hear there the big difference in the Neve, and I love the Neve emulation in version 1.0, and I love it just as much in 2.0. The Neve, to me, out of all the consoles in the VCC, I've always liked the most because it gives a lot more of an open sound. It almost like it adds some clarity on the top end, and everything just gets, it sounds more separated to me, and things just have a lot more clarity. Not that I don't like the SSLs, but I like the Brit N more, the Neve more, just as to my ears. Again, this is personal preference. The SSL emulations, both the G and the E series, sound great. They're a little bit warmer sounding. Some may say darker, but darker in a good way. I tend to think of it as warmer, where the Brit N, the Neve, seems a little bit more open and a little bit more top end sizzle, which I really like to my ears. So that is the Neve part of emulation of the new VCC. And let's close this and let's take a look at one final one today. And this is the API. So let's take a look at the API, and we'll start with it on. We'll toggle it back and forth and turn it off, and so you can hear that. Bypassed. So again, nice, warm, rich sound. Again, to me, not as obvious as the Neve, but definitely subtle, but definitely there. It just seems like when you take away the virtual console, the mix tends to fall apart a little bit. Now, again, keep in mind, there's no other processing on this track at all. Zero, no compression, no EQ, no nothing. So, I mean, just what the plugin is doing for you, the VCC. And again, they all have different flavors, but they all sound great. And to me, I love console emulations. I've been using them since the VCC first came out. I also use the Waves NLS, which we'll talk about that in a second and say which one do you think is better, that kind of discussion. But anyway, now that we've listened to the 4 of them, there's 6 of them here, but let's just stick with 4, the two SSLs, the API and the Neve. Now let's switch back and forth. So what I'll do is I will start with the API, and then I'll turn that off, and I'll go to the Neve and then the 2 SSLs, and just so you can hear the difference between the two. So let's let me kind of, maybe I don't think we could put these all on the screen together. I don't think we're going to be able to do that, but let's see. Here's the API. Here is the Neve. I don't think I'll get all these on the screen, guys, but we'll try just to give you kind of a visual so you can see the UV meters turning on and off, so you know which ones are on and which ones are not. But if you're not sure, just keep your eyes on the plugin, the insert rack up here. If they're in gray, they're disabled. If they are in blue, they are enabled. And what I will do is just try to go from one to the other here. So here we go. We'll start with the API. Brit N, the Neve. This is the Brit 4K G series. Big difference between those two SSL consoles. The E series sounds a lot more open, especially on the top end than the G series. On the Neve. Back to the Neve. SSLE series. Let's go back and forth between the new E series and the Neve. So we're on the SSLE series. Now we're on the Neve. Wow, that's really nice. So now I'm wondering, I'm starting to think like the 4K E series might be my new favorite in this particular plugin. The difference is, and to my ears, is the Neve seems to have a lot more bottom end definition, especially on these tom hits in the center section of this piece of music. Whereas the E series, the SSL 4K E, tends to have a little bit more top end sizzle, but they both sound really, really good. And again, the other two sound great as well. It's just a matter of taste and what you like. So, that's it, I think. I just wanted to kind of show you guys this. I just downloaded this right before I hit record. I'm just starting to play with this again. I just wanted you to see the difference, hear the difference. This is a great plugin. Now, the question is going to be, because people know, if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, you know that I've just recently picked up the Waves NLS plugin, which is console emulation as well. And the reason why I picked that up was, one, I got it on sale for like $60, which is a great deal. Two, because they have a console that the virtual console collection here does not have, which is the EMI TG12345, which I really, 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 really like. But the VCC here has the API, which the NLS does not have. And at the time, before this 2.0 version came out, the VCC did not play well in 64-bit mode in Cubase or in Studio One, which are my two most used DAWs. And it would constantly crash the program, especially if you put 20 or 30 instances of this on a session. So I picked up the Waves NLS, which is rock solid, and I wasn't using the VCC for probably a few months. However, with the new 2.0 here, I also noticed that the CPU intensity is much, much lower on this. You can put a lot more instances of this 2.0 version than the 1.0 version. And so far, in the hour that I've played with this, it has not crashed to 64-bit Cubase yet. I'm going to test it in Studio One as soon as I'm done with this video. So I'm assuming it's going to play really nice in 64-bit mode. That's one of the reasons why it was completely rebuilt. So the question is, which one do I like better? Well, I'll tell you, they both do a great job, and they both have different flavors, different consoles. Now, the NLS has a Neve console as well as an SSL, just like the VCC. The Neve on the NLS, I'm not a fan of. I love the NLS really for the EMI TG12345. The Neve and the SSL, not so much. They sound good. I would rather use those two emulations and have no console emulation at all. However, I like the Brit and the Neve on the VCC much better than I like it on the NLS. And on the SSL, I like this new 4K E series. The G series, I'm not really that big of a fan of on the VCC, and I wasn't that big of a fan of the SSL on the NLS, if that makes sense, if you're following me. So, for me personally, I'm really digging the 4K E series console here on the VCC 2.0, as well as the Brit N. I will use those two consoles all the time. The NLS I'll probably reserve for when I want to have the EMI TG12345 type of a vibe. So those three consoles I really, really like. Now the other ones that, like the API and the Trident and the RC Tube here on the VCC are good as well. Again, if you have the Virtual Console Collection already, version 1.0, go out to the website. If you haven't already, download 2.0. It is free, but you have to have the Virtual Mix Rack. If you don't have the Virtual Mix Rack, I would tell you to go ahead and get it, because I haven't done a full review on the Virtual Mix Rack, but I can tell you that their compressors and the Neve EQ and the SSL EQ are very, very good, and now you can have entire channel strips in this one plugin, which is really great. I think it's a great investment. I think, again, if you're looking for analog vintage type processing to give you that old school analog vibe, which is what I'm all about and my channel's all about, the Virtual Mix Rack collection is definitely a home run, definitely worth investing $150 in. And I think it's great. So the NLS, again, if you have that one already, do you need to go out and buy this? I wouldn't say you need to go out and buy it. The NLS is great on its own. If you don't have the Slate Digital stuff, you can stick with the NLS, and that is great as well. I love that and been using it exclusively for a couple of months, and it's great. So again, console emulation, regardless of what you have, I think is better than no console emulation. If you had to pick one or the other, it's up to you. They all have a different flavor. Go out to the websites, demo them for free. Check them out, play around with them, see what they can do to your mix. They can do a great job. They can really add some nice punch, some nice clarity, some nice warmth, some nice vibe, and I think you really like them. So that's it for now. And for more home recording, mixing tips, tricks, concepts, techniques, yada, 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 if you haven't done so already, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. That's www.homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Check out my blog, lots of free training videos there and things that are not always on the YouTube channel. And also check out the Made Easy series under the product page. Mixing Made Easy, Compression Made Easy, EQ Made Easy. All there, all ready for you to download and check out. Lengthy hours and hours worth of training for the most affordable price you will find anywhere on planet Earth. I guarantee it. If you've already purchased those products and you're really digging them, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. And I also would love to hear from you. Give me your thoughts on the Made Easy series. I can post them on the website. Let me know what you like about it. Let me know what you don't like about it, so I can continue to improve that product line as I start working on mastering Made Easy and recording drums Made Easy and so on and so forth. But go out to the website, homerecordingmadeeasy.com, check it out. And if you're looking for mixing and mastering services or some training, other types of mixing training, one-on-one training, those kinds of things, I also offer that stuff as well. You can go out to visionrecordingstudios.com and you can check out my other stuff there. So until next time, this is David Vignola from Home Recording Made Easy and visionrecordingstudios.com. Thanks so much for supporting the channel, and I will see you guys all very, very soon. Take care.